All right, welcome back, guys, to another video or recording if you're listening on the podcast, because now we started uploading everything also to Anchor. So today's Thursday, and I want to read some stories about Tzaddikim, and it's getting closer to Purim, Baruch Hashem, somewhere a little bit more than 30 days. And I have this really awesome little sefer called Otzer HaMoadim on Purim. If you could pick it up, it's amazing. It's got like collection of Purim from all the big Chassidic Stories, from the Kedushas Levi. It has the Yisod V'Sharash Avodah, it has the Seder HaYoim, it has the Shla, it's got the Shulchan Aruch on it. It's got everything. It's got stories, and it's got Likutim from all Chassidic writings and everything. And it has great stories in the back. So we're just going to read for the next few weeks on Thursdays until after Purim. We will be reading stories. So today we're going to be reading stories about Simchas Purim, the happiness of Purim. Right, it's one of the happiest days of the year, and we're going to be reading some stories about it. So let's just begin. So it says over here, first story. These are all small stories. We're just going to read through them. It says over here, the Rav HaKadosh Rav Yevi Me Ostra, who was one of the great Talmidim of the Maggid of Mezrich. He was known as a person who was very, very poor. Right, his house was always empty, and he didn't even have any pruta. He didn't have any money at all. And when Purim came, he didn't even have anything to eat. Right, he didn't have any food to be mekayim the mitzvah of shalach manos. So he was very sad, and he was not able to be happy because he was like, I can't even do shalach manos. Come on, And all of a sudden, guess who came to visit him? Mordechai Tzaddik. In all his glory and his honor, he came to visit him on Purim. And when Rav Yevi saw Mordechai Tzaddik, he asked him, with what did I merit that you should come to me today? And Mordechai Tzaddik says, when a Jew wants to be happy on Purim and he can't be happy, then my whole job is to come to him on Purim and to make him happy. So obviously, that is pretty crazy that Mordechai Tzaddik came to Rav Yevi of Ostra, but Mordechai Tzaddik's avodah, he said, on Purim is to make other Yidden happy. So that's pretty crazy. All right. It says over here, another story. The guy in Rav Naftali Katz Zatzal, the Baal Smichas Chachamim, he was known as a person who would be part of Yeshuas and do nisim and miracles and stuff like that. And he was known everywhere in the land, wherever he lived. That all around people knew that he was a big person to go to if you needed help. So, and he would say that it's easier to be part of Yeshua's from the strength of simcha, from the koyach of simcha, more than from the koyach of atzvus, which is sadness, right? Because simcha brings special hashpayas, influxes of good from Shemayim to the world. So one time on Purim Day, the king, wherever Rav Naftali Katz lived, he needed a big Yeshua for something very important, and he sent a shliach straight to the Baal Smichas Chachamim that he should daven for him, that this Yeshua, whatever it was, it doesn't specify what it is, but that he should be able to have this Yeshua. So what did the Goyin do? Chalaf Lamed B'Tfil Lefnei Hashem. He davened a little bit before Hashem, and he started eating a lot and drinking a lot, B'Simcha Yisera, like on Purim. Then he davened more from the deepness of his heart, and the tefillah was accepted, and the king had his Yeshua. So the king asked the shluchim that he sent. He said, "Tell me what did you see that he did?" So they said, "We didn't really see him at all when he was davening, but we saw him that he was eating and drinking a lot, with like extra happiness, like more than usual." So it says that the king called the Smichas Chachamim and he said, "What's going on over here?" That I know for sure that the Yeshua came from you. But what's pshat? that you just were eating and drinking, right? What's going on? So Rav Naftali answered him, on today's Purim, and Hashem just wants us to be happy today. And only when we're happy and we do His Ratzon, then Hashem fulfills our Ratzon, Ritzonenu. So only through Simcha, by eating and drinking and all that, I was able to bring Yeshua for you. So Dafka on Purim, it's not the Avodah, there's an Avodah to daven, but he's saying that the Avodah is to do what Hashem wants. And the Avodah Hashem wants to have Seudas Purim, Simchas Purim, and that's what she had to do. It says over here that the daughter of the Goyen Rabbi Moshe Sofer, who was the Chassam Sofer, the Isha Tzaddikis Mora Simcha Lehman, Mrs. Simcha Lehman, I don't know, I guess that's what her name is, Leheman, yeah. She says that the minhag of her father, the Chassam Sofer, was to eat on Leil Purim beans cooked in honey. Because the Ramah says in the Shulchan Aruch that you should eat the Meichel Zerainim B'Purim. Right? That's to remember what Esther ate in the palace when she couldn't eat. There was no kosher food, so she ate a lot of vegetables and seeds and all these things, and Zeronim, legumes, whatever they call them. So yeah. But so she said that her father's minhag was to eat beans cooked in honey. Sounds pretty good. But the guy in the Baal Shevet Sofer said, according to the Baal Menais Halevi, the Perish Megillah, in the name of the Eben Ezra, the Meichel Zeroinim, the Kavana means rice. So either rice or beans. Alright, this story is pretty long. Let's see. Alright guys, you ready for a longer story over here? Again, I'm very bad with years, so I don't know. Bishnas Tafresh Ayin Hey, the Russians captured the city of Lemberg. Right? So probably sometime like World War II, or I guess, or something like that. And there was a great fear in the hearts of all the Jews there. So at that time, the city of Lemberg was the place where the Rav HaKodesh, Rabbi Yaakov Moshe of Kamarna of Lemberg, was there. And on the day of Purim, when he was, doing his tish, his Shulchan HaTorah, the pure table, one of the Chassidim said to the Rebbe, L'chaim Hashem Yisbarach Yihazor, Shia Shuv K'moshe Koiden HaMelchama. Hashem should help that it should be like it used to be before the war. And the Rebbe answered back in Yiddish, but we're going to read the Hebrew. He says, like it was, I don't want. Therefore, that's why we have to deal with all this evil now. Right? So Hashem should help us that it should be even greater than what it was before. So same thing, we could say also the same thing. That's not the end of the story, but just a little thing we could say the same thing. Like with Corona also. It's like, people are always saying, like, I wish we can go back to the way it was. The truth is, we just have to daven that Hashem will make it even better after this is all finished. Anyway, continue the story. So afterwards, when they were drinking l'chaim, the Rebbe said, my father, Zichrona Levracha, he would have a lot of chiyas and a lot of pleasure on Purim when we would talk about the genusay shel Haman HaRasha. Right? Like we could talk, like we could make fun of all the stupid and embarrassing things of Haman, and that's what his father would do. So he said, who could say something about Haman? That's bad, obviously. So right away, before anybody can answer, the Rebbe pointed a finger at one of the Chassidim, and his name was Rabbi Yisrael. And he said, oh, Rabbi Yisrael, I want you to say something about Haman. And at that second, something popped into Rabbi Yisrael's head about the genusai, the badness, the embarrassing things of Haman. So, okay. So all the people there were sitting in a lot of atzvus because of this war that broke out now. Va'az Amar Rabbi Yisrael, and Rabbi Yisrael said, it says in the Svarim that the Rasha takes from the Tzaddik the evil that's inside the tzaddik. And the Rebbe said, said, we already know this. What are you trying to say? So this Chassid Rabbi Yisrael continued. Says, we know that Moshe Rabbeinu had a stutter. He was kvad peh, the kvad lashon. It was hard for him to talk and smoothly and clearly. And only at the Shas Kabbalah Satira, Hu Nisrape, and only at the time of Kabbalah Satira was he healed. And who took from him the Chelek Hara? So we have to say, Shahaman Arasha not Lemenu is Chelek Hara. We have to say that Haman Arasha took the Chelek Hara of that was Moshe Rabbeinu's speech impediment. L'chein hu nikra b'shem Haman ha'agagi kivin shay megamgim v'taman amar gi ba'isa regel ba'isa rega hachel hakahal l'chayach v'shuv nasir sosin v'simcha b'mechitzas rebbe. He was making a shtickle Purim Torah, right? So then the Rebbe said, okay, say more stuff about Haman. And he said to the same chassid. So Rabbi Yisrael says, so I want to go, he said, I need to go outside and change my clothing for this next part. So he went outside and he changed, and he put on a hat. He put on the hat and the parva of the Rebbe, like the fancy coat or whatever. And when he came back into the Beis Medrash, some of the people started saying, "Oh, make a space for the president of the Western nations, whatever." Like he was like royalty kilo. So Rabbi Yisrael came close to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe stood up and he says, "And what does the president say?" And Rabbi Yisrael said, "Since now it's Purim, I came to the Rebbe to ask that he should be poil by Hashem, that Hashem should send to the Bnei Yisrael Mishalach Manis. Because it says in Megillas Esther, Shoy Nemar Beruach Chodesh, that was said in Ruach Chodesh, so we know that the Megillas Esther was said in Ruach Chodesh. It says that Mishalach Manis Ish Lire'eu. Mishalach Manis from a man to his friend, Ish, Hainu HaKadosh Baruch Hu, K'mosh Nemar Hashem Ish Melchama. Ish is Hashem, because it says in the Pasuk, Hashem is a man of war, not literally a man, Chas V'Shalom, but Hashem Ish Melchama. So this is a drasha, Lire'eu, Hainu B'nei Yisrael. K'mosh shenemar L'man Achai V'Re'ei. Right, Re'eu is the B'nei Yisrael. Chen tzarech HaKadosh Baruch Hu L'shleach lanu shalach manos. He sends us stuff. The Rebbe says, of course Hashem will send the shalach manos. Kain, for sure. Hu yishlach L'bnei Yisrael manos. But then Rabbi Yisrael continues, says, "Anir it says Hashem yishlach L'bnei Yisrael manos v'loy staman." It's not just stam food. Eleni Eretz Shia Kimoi Hanoitrikoin Shel Manos. I want it to be like the Noitrikoin of Manos. What is the Noitrikoin of Manos? Hainu, the first letter of Manos is Mashiach, is Mem. It starts with Mem, so we could say that the Mem is Mashiach, and the second letter is Nun, which we could say is the word Nechama, like healing and rest and goodness, like after the war, Chas v'Shalom, and Vitaf, and Vav is Vitishbi. So that says that the Shatia Geula Shlema, right? Alright, Vav Taf, the last two letters is Vitishbi. So we have Mashiach, Mem, Nun is Nechama, and Vav Taf of the word Manos is Vitishbi. That the Geula should come B'Shlemus. Right? But the Rebbe kept on saying, don't worry, Hashem is going to send us Manos Al Tidag. But Rabbi Yisrael said, I'm not leaving the Rebbe until you promise that there will be a Geula Shlema. So at that second, the face of the Rebbe became very kind of more somber, I guess. And the Rebbe said, I'm afraid to daven to push for the Geula right now. But one thing I can promise you is that that there will be a Geula Pratis today on Purim, and everybody's going to go out from his own tsar that he has. And when this Chassid Rabbi Yisrael saw that the facial expression of the Rebbe changed, right? He said he saw that the Rebbe was not in the mood for this, whatever. It wasn't the right time, and he decided not to bother him more. He drank a l'chaim. He said l'chaim, the Rebbe should bless us with a geula pratis, right? And therefore the Rebbe blessed them, everybody there, with a geula pratis, whatever they needed to get out of their own little tsaras. So now, afterwards, one of the Chassidim wanted to know why the Rebbe changed his expression so much when he started asking about Mashiach, right? This Chassid, Rabbi Yisrael, wanted to know why the Rebbe's facial expression changed so much. So he said that when you went outside to change your clothing, right? The Rebbe, whatever this guy was telling this other guy, that the Rebbe told the Chassidim that were in the Beis Medrash that one time on Purim, by Rabbi Tzvi Hirsch of Zirichov, Lavash Echad Me Chassidim as Bigdei HaKeser, one of the Chassidim put on the clothing of the Kesar, and the Rebbe asked from him that he should write a tzav to cancel all the different taxes. Elishahu loy ratza. What this guy didn't want to. He decided to make up with the Rebbe, and he said to the Rebbe that he's ready to write. None of Amalei Rabbi Tzvi Hirsch, and Rabbi Tzvi Hirsch said, before you were already in the bechina of the melech through the clothing. But you're not wearing the clothing anymore, so you can't do anything. Right? So therefore, then Rabbi Yisrael heard, Madua Pnei Rabbi Nasis Chiveres. Then he understood why the Rebbe's face became like that. She came by at that time was a great Eis Ratzon. V'neiz gadol hayolai al shalei hifter by Rabbi Oides Agdul Asida. Because it was iffy, because that time when he was wearing the Rebbe's clothing, he was like the king, and he could do anything basically. There's big avodas with this dressing up on Purim and all these things. So it was a very, very big Eis Ratzon, and if he would have pushed the Rebbe, then the Rebbe would have had to push for Mashiach to come, and who knows what could have happened. We don't know anything. So that's why he didn't want. So that's what he understood. That's why the Rebbe's face changed, because it got serious, So that's a pretty wild story. But everyone got a gula pratis, so that's good too. This isn't a long story, but we're gonna skip that one because we already have a pretty long video here. But let's just do one thing. This is something that I also started doing. It says over here, after I learned this piece a few years ago, he says that it was a very, very happy day in the Divrei Cheskel on Purim of Shinav, right? You would make a big Seudah and everyone for a very, very long time. You give out wine and everything, right? Aval, but every year before the Seudah, you had a different Simcha Acharas. You had a different Simcha, Simchas HaTorah. He would bring to the table the Shulchan Aruch, the first section of Shulchan Aruch, which is called Orach Chaim, and he would learn Siman Taf Chaf Tes, which is Maschilim Hilchos Pesach, because Purim is 30 days before Pesach, and 30 days before Pesach you're supposed to start learning the Hilchos Pesach 30 days Koydem HaChag. So therefore, it's a minhag by Chassidim, minhag by many people to take out a Shulchan Aruch before the Seudah gets crazy and learn the Hilchos Pesach, learn some of Hilchos Pesach, right? And after he would learn the whole entire Siman of Siman Tav Chav Tes, he would start eating the Seudah. And this is because Chazal said, "Sha'alim b'Hilchos Pesach Koydem Chag Shloshim Yom." Therefore, 30 days before is Shloshim Yom, like we just said, and that's what it is. So those are some stories of Purim. Sorry about that. And hopefully next week we will continue reading more stories of Purim and more breaths of history and all that type of good stuff. So everyone should have a great Shabbos and be well and safe and have a great day.